So can you please state your first name, how old you are, and the city you reside in?
Yes, Sha'Kia. I reside in Tempe, Arizona, and I am 26 years old.
Okay, can you tell us how many children you have, their ages, and if you're currently pregnant?
Not currently pregnant. I have two boys, Michael, he's 5, and Messiah, he's 3.
Okay, so what is rewarding about being a mother, and then what challenges do you face as a mother, or what's challenging?
So rewarding is just being able to, watch what you create grow. I would say that it is also rewarding because little boys, they give love that nobody else can. So it's really like a love that you've never felt from anyone. Your parents birth you, you have these siblings that you grow up around, but it's a different kind of love, what your kids are able to give. Yeah, and then I would say the challenges, just with things that are going on today in the world, with African Americans, especially African American men, police officers. So, anytime that it's on the news, it's definitely something that a Black mother to Black children think about. Anytime that they're away, it's scary. And I would say that, all the choices that you make, you have to consider your kids. So, you're not always able to act, out on things how you would like to, because you have to consider your kids. And then, just everything that I've ever wanted to do is kind of had to be put on a back burner to raise my kids, which I'm okay with too, because I think they're gonna grow up and amount to something, even greater than what I think I ever would have.
What was your pregnancy experiences or experience? For example, were they planned? What was your outlook about being pregnant in general? And then did you have any complications? And what type of support did you have, if you had support?
So they definitely were not planned. Neither one, but I don't regret it at all. I would say that, they say that pregnancy is like in movies you see it as this beautiful thing, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I was sick all the time. There's no such thing as just morning sickness. They should call it all-day sickness. I had all-day sickness with both preeclampsia. I actually would say that I was kind of really surprised because I had an ectopic pregnancy before my first was born, and had to get a surgical procedure where they removed one of my tubes. So I was told that I wouldn't be able to have kids because it was something had happened during the procedure where it was something that was bent. And then I ended up getting pregnant with my son. Wasn't ready to be a mom, but I just knew that, I don't think anyone's ready to be a mom. It kind of just happened. So, he came and I went through, postpartum, really bad. But I had a very strong support system that helped me with my son, his father, my parents. Second son, he wasn't planned neither, but same thing, we were just all right, he's here, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was very close to, not having my second son, but literally while I was in the office getting ready for the procedure, I was just you know what, can't do it. You can give me my money back, I'm gonna go buy, my first son some stuff and just prepare to have this baby. And I did, and I'm very happy that I did because they're just amazing, yeah.
Where did you or do you get advice about or information on pregnancy, childbirth, or parenting in general? And do you think this type of information was or is useful or relevant to you at all?
To be completely honest, I didn't get any advice. You know, I just grew up watching the kind of mom my mom was, even the kind of dad that my dad was, which I think that they did the best that they could with me and my brother. So it wasn't like I really had, you know, reading books or had anyone giving me pointers on parenthood. It was just pretty much just like a wing it thing. You go off of, you know, what you were taught. You want to do something different. It's your child, you know, so raise them accordingly. And that's what I did. It's definitely a learning process. I'm still learning, but it's going pretty good, yeah.
So what type of things do you do to make sure that you're healthy? So healthy for yourself and healthy for your children and your family. And then what sort of things make it difficult for you to achieve that health?
So this is going to be shade of dad a little bit. So I cut out pork completely, cut out my soda intake, so it's juice and water in my house. We mostly eat like fish, pastas, but you know kids, they are very, very difficult, especially you're a parent, you really know. Kids are very picky, so I feel like it's something that I just have to get more stern on because there are McDonald's and carne asada fries and dad spoils them. Mom's the one that's more so like no with stuff. I don't have the money to do it, where dad's like, okay, we're gonna go. If it shuts you up, we're gonna go. So I think just this year, really being more strict, you know, with the kind of food that they do intake. I'm starting to notice that the more that I, you know, feed away from it, the more that dad and the kids, you know, they follow along. So yeah, I think just getting more strict with, you know, the food that I eat, everything that I take in, I think that they'll just follow in slowly but surely. Yeah.
Do you do like any other like hobbies or practices or any other things to make sure that you're healthy? And so whatever healthy means to you, so like your physical, your mental, your spiritual.
So I do, I meditate. It's not often that I get to, but like, you know, meditation bath, or, you know, I'll close myself in the room away from the kids and light some incense around me, you know, write in my journal, or, you know, even just silent thoughts, you know, I feel like it's a form of meditation for me. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I don't exercise, don't have time to exercise. Literally just work and deal with the kids. I think feeding them and running around the house playing with them is kind of like an exercise, you know, so yeah, that's the most exercise I do.
So you would say like overall, like self-care?
Yes, self-care is very important. Like I make sure I take time. It's not often where I get time to myself, you know, to be able to, you know, give myself like a deep conditioning or things like that. So I make sure that I take some kind of time, you know, even if it's just like a few hours a week, 2-4 hours a week, just spending time on self-care, not having to rush in the shower. I do that. I make sure that it's set up with their dad too, you know, like, you know, you get your rest because this is the time you're going to deal with them. I need some me time to binge watch some shows with no interruptions. So yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So what type of support, resources, or events would you like to see in your area?
Well, you know, with COVID going on, I really feel like, and it's just because of the job that I work. So I work for a mortgage company, and I talk to people who express like on a daily how they're just, you know, they're stressed out. COVID has caused hardship. They have their kids, they're not trying to lose their home, and I just really think like some kind of, you know, counseling service for people to be able to talk to somebody, and, you know, more resources, more people who have the funds, you know, putting it out there to help people. rappers, all these artists, the people who actually got the funds to do it. I really feel like right now especially is the time to, put funds into helping people with keeping their home, helping people, with raising kids. It's not easy, it's not cheap. So just putting the funds where they should go, towards helping a family, helping kids. Kids are going crazy too in the house, Honestly, I had my spouse's, his nieces and nephews came over, and I had to watch them do the school thing, and I'm just watching them just not attentive to school, and the teachers are not, telling them, hey, you guys need to focus on this. So, just me being like an overthinker, kind of just paying attention to that kind of stuff. And every time I'm just like, oh my God, like something needs to be done. These kids are going crazy. These adults are going crazy. Like, I just feel like it needs to be more resources as far as like counseling, really, for people who are going through those kind of things. Yeah, if I didn't have my family and my spouse there, I would probably need counseling as well, yeah, to deal with everything that's going on, yeah.
So do you feel like that's missing, because you said Tempe, right?
Right.
So do you feel like that's currently missing?
Yeah, because so there was a minute when the COVID had first started out to where I had to take a leave from my job because I didn't want to send my babies back to daycare. And I had a little trouble with finding like resources that would be able to kind of assist, like in my area with like SRP, rental assistance. After getting the runaround for a little bit, I was able to find, some assistants who was able to put a portion towards my rent because their dad was out of work too due to COVID. So I would say that they need to, it's a limit on the amount of resources that they are able to provide. And even me taking it, I felt like I was taking it away from somebody, because I could have easily asked my parents, or someone to help, but it was just wanting to be able to do it on your own, just not wanting to take from nobody else, because I think that almost everyone has experienced hardship. So I think those kind of resources, being openly available to people would definitely help in the Tempe area, yeah.
So what are some of the things that are taboo about pregnancy, birth, and parenting? So what are people, and people being like doctors or media, social media, Facebook community, or other parents, so what are people not talking about that you feel like needs to be talked about in regards to like pregnancy, birth, or parenting, being parent?
I would honestly say the whole postpartum. I feel like it gets talked about, but not in ways to where people would really understand it. I know when I went through my postpartum, it was something that not a lot of people understood. Everyone would be asking, well, what's wrong? And it's just like, I don't even know what's wrong. I'm holding my baby and I get a random thought like, oh my God, what if you drop your baby? I can't even tell you what's wrong, so I feel like that should be talked about more. Probably can only be talked about from people who have experienced it, because they are really the only ones to understand exactly what someone who went through it is talking about. Like I've talked to other people who went through postpartum, and when I explain it like that, no one knew what was wrong. I couldn't explain. They're like, oh my God, I completely understand. And we get to sharing our silent thoughts that we would have. So I think that needs to be talked about more, definitely. I think it would help because there are some moms who don't have the support, and it ends not good. Something happens to baby, something happens to mom. It's not a good thing. So I really think that should be talked about more. Yeah.
And so, like you said, you would talk to people, or people being like family or friends, and they just be like, so what's wrong with you?
Yeah, so it's just like family. Like my mom, she knew that I was going through some kind of depression, you know, but let's be real, like in Black families, mental health is just, it's not really a thing, you know. Stop being like that, you know, you trying to get attention, you know, it's a lot of things that's said when a Black child speaks on mental issues. And I think that was kind of like, you know, my mom's thing too, like, you know what, I know that you are depressed, but I can't help you if you're not going to tell me what's wrong, you know. And I kind of think that, you know, she kind of got just like, I don't know, I think that you need to talk to somebody, you know. It got to a point where she was telling me that as well. So yeah, I think that it is something that should be talked about more, especially within the Black community. Shout out to Taraji Henson too, because she's doing something where she talks to Black people about mental health. I watch her videos on Facebook too. So I just think that if more people, like I stated before, had the funds to do something like that, they should, because it is what the Black and brown community need to be able to openly talk about and not be judged for, have people who are willing to help them through that. So yeah, that's one of the things I would say.
In the United States, Black and Native American women have some of the worst maternal and infant health outcomes. So for example, like the number of women who die in childbirth or due to like pregnancy-related complications, the number of infant deaths, etc. So why do you think that is, and how does this make you feel?
Why do I think that is? Because it's America. Literally, because we're in America, you know. It used to make me mad, you know. I would get upset, you know, just the thought of just, it's not really a question, you know, of oh, why is it happening? We know why it's happening, you know, it's obvious, but honestly, I really feel like it's just up to us to bring the change. We need more people, our people in the medical fields, you know, to avoid things like that from happening, you know. Everybody else, you know, they know how to stick together, they know how to watch each other's back, and I just feel like with our people too, it's something that we need to do. More doctors, more of our people in the, you know, the justice system, courts, police field, you know. We have to elevate to higher positions of authority in order to bring a change. So that's how I started to think more, you know, of it, rather than just being upset and it's not really doing anything. We're upset. It's been going on for a very long time. You know, this is part of our history. So, I mean, the only thing you can do is change it. So that thought alone had actually had me thinking, you know, I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to go back to school to be an OBGYN. So, yeah, definitely going to be part of that change, yeah.
Okay, so what factors do you think contribute to a healthy pregnancy, an ideal birth, and a successful transition into parenting, or like the postpartum period, or just parenting in general?
I would say really support. Like, that's really all you need, is a strong support system. A strong, consistent support system, because, you know, I'm sure you've heard it before. People are like, oh, they said they were going to be there, you know, they were saying they're going to be there before the baby gets here. Baby's here, nobody's there. So I just feel like consistent support, my bad. Consistent support and self-care, really, you know, just making sure that you do take the time to care for yourself, you know, you get some time to yourself, because I think that that is something that was missed, you know, a few times for me, you know, my journey through parenthood. And it's necessary for a mom to just take some time to gather her thoughts, or else she's gonna go crazy. Yeah, so that's what I would say, just a strong support system and self-care.
Okay. And what does, like you say, support? So what type of support, or like support from who, or what kind?
Okay, so I would definitely say that a man that helps make the child, you're gonna need to be there to support, you know, like that's just it. I don't care how you feel about it. You help make a child, you need to be there to help support it. And definitely parents, like even me being a mom, when my kids have kids, you know, I want them to know that they have their parents to turn to. They don't ever have to deal with, you know, any hardship. As long as we're here, you know, we're here to help them with them and whatever they decide to do, you know, with their own families. So supportive parents, supportive friends, you know. I have one best friend, Erica, who you know, she's always there when I need to vent. You know, she's a mom too, so she understands. So I think that's important as well. So spousal support, parental support, and friend support.
So as a mother, what type of questions do you ask yourself from time to time?
Am I a good mom? That's definitely the question that I ask myself. I think that all parents, at certain times, they feel like they're not being the best that they can be, which we're probably not. You know, it's always room for growth. It's always room for learning. Parenting is a learning experience. So that's one of the questions I definitely ask. My kids are amazing. They always tell me like, Mama, I love you, you know. So just with that kind of reassurance, it lets me know, okay, you know, you may not think that you're doing the best, but to them, you're amazing, you know, and you know because your child will reassure you. A child will let you know, if they're happy, if they're not happy. So that's probably the only question that I ask myself every day being a mom. Yeah.